Hello, welcome back to video number 2 in the Crusader Kings 3 segment of my England to America historical playthrough mega series, where I'm playing through the historical countries that led up to America. Again, we're going to start with England so that we can play all the way through America as a British colony. I'm Admiral Jedi, and we are going to pick up right where we left off. Well, kind of. I advanced time a little bit to 954, and we are playing as what should be King Edgar, but is actually King Edward, because I cannot rename my children, which drives me crazy. I'm pretty sure there's a mod for that, but I'm not a big mod guy. Anyway, this segment is titled The Saxon Dusk, because it's going to be all about the decline of the Saxons underneath more Danish invasion, which will ultimately be settled in our third video, the Conqueror, William the Conqueror. So we are going to fast forward even a little bit more to 973. Edgar's reign was really it was described as just a peaceful reign. Nothing much happened. It's been a struggle for me because I picked up the crown after two successive deaths. Death of the grandfather, immediate death of the father, and that just kind of really ravaged me from a gameplay perspective. But all the rebellions and invasions are over, and so hopefully we can grow up in peace. Let's fast forward. So here we are in 973 AD. Growing up did indeed occur. Growing up in peace did not occur. There were many faction rebellions. Some I had to give in to lowered crown authority. I think I put that back. I had a selfish, entrenched vizier. I have been playing Turkey for too long. Regent, who was really hard to get rid of. In fact, I had to literally murder him to get rid of him. So we are playing as what should be King Edgar, but really is King Edward. And you might like this. I'm so desperate to get my King Ethelred, who's going to be our most significant king for a little while, that when my wife had twin boys, I named them Ethelred and Backup Ethelred. So hopefully one of them survives to become king. We'll see. It'd be funny if they both survive and end up doing civil war against each other. But anyway, that is neither here nor there nor now. Okay. So we're going to keep playing through as Edgar. Ethelred, whichever one it is, will become king hopefully soon. Hopefully this guy doesn't live till he's like 100. For now, just while we're still fast forwarding, let me go through a couple things. Just one thing, actually. Let's talk about men-at-arms. Historically speaking, England at this time had neither cavalry as a major force, nor archery, which anyone who loves England, it's like, what? No archers? England? What are you talking about? So it turns out that archers were not like a major force during this time, that they were used, but it was really just like skirmishing and strategic. So they didn't have the lines of archers draw, that we're all used to seeing from the movies. They had some javelin throwers, actually, was kind of a deal, probably part of their light footmen. In fact, you can even see the icon here, right? Has little javelins on it, so super historically accurate. And they would skirmish in such a way. And one of the other things that they did do, which, again, Last Kingdom, always talking about it, I was shocked when they did it, like the shield wall, remember that? Because it really harkens back to like the Roman testudo concept. And they did indeed do this, that both sides would sort of square off, lock their shields, come together as these fully locked, and then just sort of push and try and opportunistically slash each other, and then they would fall back. People would actually run out and retrieve the bodies, or perhaps it wasn't the body, but their gear. And that was considered an act of daring. Like, he ran out there, and, while javelins and possibly arrows are being hurled and, picked up some of the gear. So we are going to simulate that by not creating any cavalry or archery men-at-arms. Okay, so just a little historical note while we fast forward some time, probably by another 25 years at this point, to get to a very, very, very famous event that happened in the year 1002. Let's keep going. Now, as we prepare for that time, I'm going to experiment with something. We have the Northmen trying to take East Anglia. Usually I can just wait for them to land in a boat, completely overwhelm them because of their disembarking bonus, and kill them in one fell swoop. So the experiment that I conducted was, not this. Okay, well, not sure what's going on here. Okay, was this. What if I just give them the land? So the reason why I'm doing this is because for two reasons. One, it's been difficult to represent what was a significant and remaining Danish presence on the land. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just do this, right? And so the experiment that I conducted, because I've never really done that, was, does it change the borders? Will they get this, boop, this, and no, that's good. Okay, instead he becomes my vassal, which is good. The second reason is the event that I talked about in the year 1002 will involve a schism that occurs between the Danish populations of the land and the Saxon populations of the land. So I'm going to keep letting them build up on the East Coast if any more Northmen try to, what's that term that they make? Adventure here or something like that? I forget the term for it. And so we're going to sort of simulate the Dane law, this segment. I keep moving back and forth here, this segment on the eastern side of the island. And the other thing that I'm going to do, and in fact I think we'll try to do it experimentally now, is we're going to add, or I'm going to try, can I do it? I think I can. Saxon elective, yes, okay, to the kingdom, because in and as time proceeds forward, we're going to see that the Danish actually take control of the kingdom of England, the kingship of England. I don't want to do too much of that until it's time. We still have like 25, 50 more years to go. So let's again fast forward. But I'm glad that happened, and looks like it's going to set us up nicely to be historically accurate. Ugh, 6 years away from our target, the year 1002, Prince Ethelred just got murdered. Have no idea who by. But fortunately, that's why we have backup Ethelred. So we're going to go ahead and name him as our successor. Alright, who's my candidate? My candidate is frickin' backup Ethelred. Alright, so he's the new number one. That's right. We have finally at last arrived at the year 1002, which is what I've been waiting for, where the Danes were insulted because King Ethelwald, who is not in place at this point, still it's King Edward, and both of his sons, Ethelred. It's Edward who's in place, and I was trying to talk about, there's so many Ethels, it's really hard to keep track of. Both of his sons, Prince Ethelred and Prince Backup Ethelred, have been murdered. I probably have a rival, I do have a rival, who's probably busily murdering all my sons, because I took his lands away from him. I'm trying to murder him at this point, but that's beside the point, not historically accurate. Anyway, in 1002, in what's known as the St. Brice's Day Massacre, King Ethelred, who we're kind of pretending like we're playing with, decided that Danes in his land shouldn't really be in his land anymore, and began systematically exterminating them. One of the Danes who was killed was the sister of the Danish king, and of course, unfortunately, no Danish king exists, but, history. Anyway, was the sister and that of King Svein, and that made King Svein swear bloody revenge upon him, and he invaded. And eventually his son, Canute, took over as king. So what to do about that? I'm trying to provoke the wrath of, well, I don't know about the Danes, but, well, the Norse, right? And so the way that I think I'm going to go about this is the way that I've experimented with already. The next northern invasion that occurs, I'm going to land them as well. And then with the Witan in place, or the Saxon elective, where's that at? Tis here, right? I'm going to let them put forward a candidate for king and hope that they win. So that's how we're going to try to simulate that. Because if I simply went to war with them, they wouldn't necessarily attack me back. And even if they did an invasion of kingdom, they could completely put me out 100%. And I don't really quite want to do that. So this could get a little bit rocky, and I may have to do some historical narration, but we're going to try and get it as close as we can. So we're going to wait for the next northern invasion to occur and go from there. And in the meantime, I'm apparently at death's doorstep, and my heir elf Weird should take over, and we're going to pretend like that's King Ethelred. I wish I could rename him, I really do. But there you go. So that's what's going to happen, and we're going to play this back and forth with the Danes, either until I lose, which I'm willing to do, historically speaking, until I lose, or until we get to the year 1066 when we can switch over to a Frenchman, a Norman. Anyway, we'll talk about that in the next episode. The year is now, what is it? It's 1013, so we've advanced by another decade. And I've really just been waiting for the Danes to attack, and they're not. Especially funny because I just got done seeing some Reddit post about how some guy had been playing England and he's had Viking attacks like clockwork every 5 years. I only wish that was going on right now. And I wonder if part of the problem is how fractured Scandinavia is right now, and that there's no real major power there to sort of make a play. I'm sorry for all this pop-ups. It's like I'm trying to get time to flow here and have, like, this guy with his 205, he's not doing anything anytime soon, right? Okay. Hugh, Finland is, I guess, but I mean, they seem like they're too busy kind of fighting themselves. So this guy here in Lapland seems... So I'm doing two things. I'm waiting for an invasion, which is not happening. And I am waiting, and I'm trying to marry... To get somebody landed here of Danish descent. Okay. I don't know who this is. Alright, whatever. East Anglia was... A Viking invasion did occur, and I said, you can have the land. And I think it was this guy who invaded, right? But in the meantime, his daughter, who's taken over and has no sons, she's Anglo-Saxon, she's Catholic, she basically assimilated, and I don't see them challenging me for kingship anytime soon. Let's check out succession, the way that's gonna look here. So this guy, who really was supposed to be elected, but then the one that I'm playing right now sort of snuck in the election at the very last minute. I don't have any sons either. Okay. But he's my former cousin or nephew or whatever it is. Rank, I mean, it's huge, so it's like everybody wants to vote for this guy. There's no Danish people here that anybody wants to vote for, which sucks. So I'm having a really hard time simulating this Danish invasion piece, which, again, is awful because I'd rather see it happen than just narrate through it. At this point, King Canute of Denmark should be here taking over as King of England. Okay, let's keep going. Gonna try and keep pushing on this to try and get something to happen there and have some Scandinavian ruler take over as King of England. That's the goal right now. Alright, finally, we have a Northman army declaring on us. Okay. So, I'm glad for this. I'm going to go through... I'm going to go ahead and just give them the land again, like I did the last time. Let's see if this comes up here. It should come up. Okay. So if it's the land they want, why not just give it to them? So there we go. Alright, and he becomes like a vassal of mine, I believe. Yes. Okay, good. So then, the real question is, how do we handle the election? Okay. On succession. Alright, because he's assuredly going to be voting for himself, right? Which, that's fine. But he's rank 6, so he's not going to do too well. Now, this guy needs to earn a lot more land, which hopefully he will, through conquests and stuff like that. Ducal conquests. Let's see what he's got. He's got his 9,000 troops. Now, I don't have high crown authority, so he can go ahead and attack whoever he wants. Let's see, he's got a certain amount of prestige. That's good. I can probably help him. So we'll bestow royal favor on him. Again, this is kind of not historically accurate, right? But we want to help him out as much as we can so that he feels free to take out his other dukes. And then hopefully he will put himself or his kin up for the election and win it. That's what I'm hoping will happen at this point. So let's fast forward and hope that that happens. So this should be representing King Canute at this point, the son of Sweyn Forkbeard. Now, another TV show here, Vikings Valhalla, the Netflix show, goes through this time. I'm watching it right now, in fact. They absolutely butcher the history of it. Super not historically accurate, unfortunately. It's a fun show, but the history is total garbage. Unlike The Last Kingdom, which I cannot say enough good things about, even from its historical accuracy. So anyway, if you want to watch this time period and learn and see some of those people's names doing stuff that none of them actually did, have at it. We'll put a little linky there for you. So we're going to hope that this King Canute substitute spreads his wings and flies, taking over more of my, other vassals. I'm going to be super okay with that. Let's hope that that happens. So a bit of an interesting game mechanic here. I went ahead and did it. So I was king, right? Not anymore. Because this guy, who, let's see if we can trace this back, right? Okay, so this is Edward, who was under Morcar, who was supposed to be Ethelstan, who was under King Edward, who was Alfred the Great's son, right? So let's go down here. We're on Alfred the Great, right? Down to Edward, real. Down to... Now remember, I had an Ethelstan. He died. Down to fake Ethelstan. Down to his son. Really, was it his son or his brother? I lost myself. Well, anyway, right before this guy was gonna become king, this guy, my cousin, got swapped in. So I've been playing as him as king. And then they're like, no, he should be on the throne. This guy, who I was originally going to be. I know it's confusing. It's Crusader Kings, right? And so, anyway, he just usurped me and became king. But it wasn't who I'm playing. So I basically am going to sit back and watch. So I've been hoping that my homie, the Dane, the filthy Dane, would spread his wings and kind of take everybody over, which he's taken a little bit of territory in East Anglia. And then I was hoping that he would swap himself in and be king. So interestingly enough, if you look at the succession, I don't even know if I can see it anymore. Okay, I can. They're like, yeah, we want you to be king again. And I'm like, no, I want this Danish guy to be king. Like, to be historically accurate, right? And everyone else is like, no way, he sucks. He's a filthy heathen. Like, ugh. So I'm going to just keep voting for him, even though everyone wants me to be king. I'm sure once this dude has a son, does he even have a son? Yeah, once this guy has a son, they're going to vote for him and everything. But this is fine. I wanted to be able to continue playing. I'll just, hold here and hope nobody wages a duchy war against me. Or that this guy doesn't say, hey, Mercia looks really nice, I'm going to kill you. So I'm just going to hold here for a little while and see how this goes. You never know. Every once in a while, it just sort of works out. So we're going to pretend like this is King Canute and he's still waging his war to unify England. Right? Now, interestingly enough, before we end in the 1050-1060 area, this guy's son, well, actually, yes, it would have been this guy's son, had two sons, Alfred and, it might have been Albert, I can never remember that, and Edward, became known as Edward the Confessor, who was the last Saxon king of England. We'll focus on him towards the end of this video. Or at least we'll try to focus on him. You never know. I'm still having kids. I've got an Alfred. And, let me see if that's actually the right name. It might have been an Albert, so I might have named my kid wrong. No, I got it right. It's supposed to be Alfred. What I did get wrong is that Alfred was Edward the Confessor's younger brother. So I should have had an Edward before I had an Alfred, so that Edward could have lines to that. Okay, so I've got a line on the king. I don't think I could take it. But again, I'm his heir at this point. Alfred, what do you got, son? Okay. All right, so we're going to move forward and see how well fake King Canute does unifying England, and then we will try to overthrow him, putting our son Edward the Confessor on the throne. Let's give that a shot. We got 40 more years to do that. Okay, rather than take over the kingdom, fake King Canute basically declared independence. So, yeah, a little bit weird. It'll be okay as long as he declares independence and then tries to take over the entire country, which would be super historically accurate. So let's keep an eye on him and see how it goes. And so, because nothing can ever go the way I want it to, something happened where he lost, fake King Canute lost some, like half of his army. And now he's gonna lose this independence war. In other words, my liege is gonna, yeah, I mean, he went down from like 9,000 to like 5,000. I don't even know why. I think due to attrition or something like that. Maybe disease, I don't know. So anyway, I've worked really hard to have some Danish ruler take over, and it didn't work. So we're just gonna have to talk our way through history. Unfortunately, it sucks. But we'll keep going. Almost done. And this is it here, I'm sure. You know, this final battle. I like how this guy just sits there. He's like, oh, I'm not even going to join. But I am going to sit there and wait for them to attack me next, because I'm sure it's going to come right here. Yeah, whatever. Oh, look, now I'll get involved. Very great plan. Excellent plan. Good job. This guy just wants to screw up my plans. So he's lost the war. He's lost all of his troops. He's lost the war. He's probably going to be imprisoned right now once they da-da-da-da. Okay. Yep, there he is. And he'll probably just get killed. No. What happened? All right. I'm kind of I'm curious here. Okay, here's the memories. Oh, he escaped! And he lost the petty kingdom. Okay, fine. I escaped from imprisonment, and then got the measles, naturally. Well, that's what you get for screwing up my plan. Anyway, so I will hopefully just wait for my turn to become king again. Will I? I am the heir. This guy can't have any kids. And he's 51. So, well, maybe I'll die before him. We'll see. Let's keep going. After everything that's really gone wrong with this run, we're at a major alt history. Names, places, occurrences. It's probably time to look at what actually happened. So this young man that we're playing as is theoretically going to be Edward the Confessor. I've mentioned that several times already. The youngest son of King Ethelred the Unready, who already died, and in theory was living in exile during King Canute's reign, the Viking king who blew his shot here real bad. Is he still around? Yeah, he's a duke. Okay, fine. So this young man was living in exile in Normandy, living with King Ethelred the Unready's wife's brother, Robert of Normandy, father of the famous William of Normandy, or William the Conqueror, who we're going to spend the entire next video, talking about. Okay, so there's a lot of genealogy going on there. So let's go. Let's start from the top here. All right, let's go all the way up. And I think we can go up to you, and then not to you. I went up in the wrong direction. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, there we go. Up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So remember, we started with Alfred the Great. All right, we did this already, so we'll do it again. Down to Edward. Down to what should have been Ethelstan. And then Ethelstan had a few sons, and one of which was Edgar. Now, we never got to play him. I think this was the guy who had... You know what? I think we've got that one thing where we can see who the kings are. So we'll bring up the family tree and look at this instead as we get ready to wrap this up. Okay. So again, we started with Alfred the Great, his son Edward, who alongside the Lady of Mercia recovered practically every part of England, but it was finally under what should have been Ethelstan. Again, Ethelstan existed, he just died. Right? The first king of England. Okay, so we remembered him from the end of the first video, right? And then Ethelstan had a son, I don't remember his name, and underneath, and then he had a son, Edgar, again, misnamed here, Edward, okay? Edgar, who was known for having a very peaceful reign. It was then under Ethelred the Unready, that we've spent really playing, well, not this guy, because I'm not even playing him anymore, but we played like a cousin for a while we pretended to be him. This guy. Anyway. And it was under Ethelred the Unready that King Canute, the Danish wannabe king, came in. We talked about that. And so it's under, should have been his son. Again, we got to kind of fake it to be what should be Edward the Confessor. Okay, so there's the tree. Here we are. And so Edward took refuge with Ethelred. Again, we're substituting him. The Unready, his wife, Emma, Queen Emma, very famous at the time. We don't see her in the game at all, unfortunately. And so it was with her brother, in Normandy, and legend has it that in order for Edward to return from exile and to throw off King Canute and his sons, Canute, and, return, that putting Edward, the Confessor, this guy, back on the throne, that the Norman dukes assisted with that, and that in his old age, the legend says, that William, soon to be known William the Conqueror, went to Edward, and Edward promised him that William would be king. But Edward, as we're going to do once I become king, because basically I'm just waiting it out, I'm first in line to become king, and this guy has no heirs, I'm his heir, and I just need to wait for him to die, that Edward had a powerful man by the name of Godwin, who was a Mercian Earl Jarl, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to name Godwin our, I'm forgetting the term for this, our regent, and find hopefully a selfish regent to sort of play the role of Godwin. And it was the Normans who helped Edward come back. Now, it was Godwin's son, Harold, who ended up becoming king instead of William the Bastard, despite Edward the Confessor's promise to... Well, is everyone following? There's going to be a quiz at the end of this, I'm telling you. Is everyone following this? Anyway, despite Edward's promise to William the Conqueror, not yet the Conqueror, that he would become king, Harold became king anyway, and it was for that reason. And really, I'm kind of cheating and doing video number 3. We're going to redo that for video number 3 because I don't think anybody's still listening to what I'm saying at this point. That's okay. It's really boring. That was why William basically said, "Oh no, brah, that country is mine," and invaded. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but we're just setting up the stage. And really, what we're setting up the stage for is for this guy, Edward the Confessor, to be the last Saxon king of England. We're going to end the video with him being the last Saxon king. So we're going to keep going for probably a few more years. I just want to see a few things happen. Number 1, I want to see him become king. And number 2, we're going to do a bunch of religious, pious stuff with him to make him true to his nature of Edward the Great. He was a very, very religious man and kind of let all other aspects of kingdom life go except for his spiritual life. So that's what we're going to do. And so here we are at last. The year 1043, excuse me, and we did inherit the kingdom. So again, I should be King Edward, not King Alfred. But I'm going to do basically everything that I've said I was going to do, and have done it to a degree already. So already he wasn't selfless before. He was selfish before. Oops. He was self-interested before, I swear. When I made him my regent, he's also not from Mercia, so unfortunately that's not historically accurate. And I have switched over to a theology focus to match Edward the Confessor and his piousness. Already been on one pilgrimage to Canterbury, which of course wasn't that far away. But let's go ahead and plan another one, a pious pilgrimage, of course. And why not? Let's go to Il Vaticano. Or you know what? It's Edward the Confessor. Let's make our pilgrimage to the Holy City itself. And we should be able to just, hire experienced captains? What else do we have on our way that's causing us troubles? It's a long journey. Okay, this is it here, so we probably need mercenary guards. Boom, there we go. Alright, we're 000 all the way. And I'm going to take some time to plot out this route a little bit better so that it gives me even more piousness. Why not, right? That's what we're supposed to be. Pious. Piosity. And then we will go on our journey, and we will get to the end of this and say goodbye to Edward the Confessor, the last Saxon king, and hello to William the Bastard. The year is still a little bit early in 1047, but I'm realizing, I mean, we're really pretty much done. This video's been kind of short, and I'm okay with that. There wasn't a whole lot to push in here. The main, the title of this video is Saxon Decline, right? Really after Alfred the Great's line from the first video, as we began with Edgar and Ethelred the Unready, and on to King Canute's invasion and the restoration of Edward the Confessor and his, of course, promise to name William king. There really isn't a whole lot. We could have combined this with the Conqueror, but there's going to be a lot of conquering going on in that next video, so we'll go ahead and just call it here. And I've gotten my piety up pretty high. Not as high as I possibly could. It would have been nice to get the Confessor as a title. But we went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land and stopped by Rome and did as much as we possibly could. So I think we're going to go ahead and just call it. And I hope you'll stick around and come back and visit me for the third, probably much more exciting video, where a Norman Duke is going to invade the island of England and hold this entire people good to their promise of making him king. And he will go from being known as William the Bastard to William the Conqueror. We'll see you next time.